and I was just some guy that took care of the equipment, the lighting equipment, and just guarding it. And I thought like, I can do this for my work. This could be a career. So I applied to a school much like yours, I think, and did a 1.5 year as a grip like grip centered school. So they were teaching me to do that. So a lot of what's it called, work where I did a with the praktik, Andreas, like in
Yeah, practical work. You were sort of internships kind of thing.
internships. Yeah, I did internships and got to learn the craft like that, and that was very good actually, because the school itself taught like more broad, and the internships really taught me how to do the craft, and I was lucky to have a mentor in this guy that was really big in the industry. But I felt like after I did the grip key grip uh, career path, I felt like that was too not much of a creative input. I was just doing dolly shots, and I wanted to do something else. So I I wanted to do lighting, which I started with at first. So I just nagged everybody to hire me as a lighting assistant, and then I got job as that, and then I worked myself up, and I asked all the DOPs how to light, and they were very nice and taught me how to do that. So that's how I was taught the craft, and then I got myself the job as gaffer, and I've been doing that for I think 15 years almost. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it about lighting that you thought was particularly interesting to do?
I was just in love with it. I was looking at the light, the natural light all around me, like inside of a room, in pictures when I was walking in like a summer day or a rainy day. I was always thinking about the light, and then I was fortunate enough to be hanging out with the best people in Sweden and Denmark and Norway and whatever to learn from them how they saw the light, and I was very interested in light. That was my thing, and still is in some capacity. Now I know a lot about it, but before I was like really interested in the movies. Were, of course, when I watched American movies, I felt like I can never do what they do because they have more resources. So I have to do more natural, and that's how I got my style, so to speak. So my style is natural, as natural as possible, and always aiming to do uh, less is more, like that. Even though I now have resources to do bigger things, I usually go for that anyway. And less is more. It's not like I use small lights. I use big lights. That's my thing. So I always aim to do it big. And Sven Nykvist, who was Ingmar Bergman's DOP, he was said, "There's one sun, so there should be one lamp." So that's where I come from. So that's got stuck to me. So I try to do that, even though I use loads of lamps. But I usually start with one lamp. Like, how are we going to do this? Let's go with the first lamp, and that usually is a big lamp, and then we scale it down after that. So that's how I do it.
Alan, do you want to jump in and ask?
What are some of the challenges around that then, Claudio? I mean, what have you been on any jobs that have presented you with huge challenges, and how did you overcome that when it happened?
What do you mean with challenges? There's always challenges. Time is the big challenge. Time and moving. What's it called in English? Like logistics is the biggest challenge. Lighting itself isn't that big of a challenge. It's the time, because when you're working on the set, and I'm sure you all have been privy to do this, it's like everybody's asking how much time is it left, when are you done, when you're done, and I haven't started yet. It's like that. So time is the biggest challenge, and that's why I try to do it as simple as possible, not to add too much. And if I feel like I've added too much, I scale it back. I almost redo it. But you have to be honest with yourself, like, how we have 1 hour, what can I do with 1 hour? So I can prepare, I can do stuff like that. So one lamp, big lamp, let it bounce around. That's how I start, and then I feel like when I watch the picture, I feel like, oh, I need to feel a little bit more, and then I work. So I don't use the rules like 3-point lighting and stuff like that. I don't think about that, but what do I see? That's where I go from, and I usually make it in time. So yeah.
And what about any battles with DOPs around lighting setups, etc.?
Never. I have a philosophy when I work. It's to be that I won't be noticed. And so the DOP and me, and it's always the same two DOPs because I've worked so long that I've chosen two DOPs that I like, or three. And if someone asks me to work with them, I'm hesitant because I like my two or three DOPs. They are nice to me, and we are friends privately. So when we work, we almost whisper a little bit, and we just point a little bit, like that. You know, we use small words and try not to be a big piece in the setup because we feel like the actors are the most important thing. So let's keep it quiet. Let's do our thing. And I never have my assistants on set that much. I'm on set. I do everything inside, and they do everything outside. Which is outside is the hardest work. So and DOP and me, we have exactly the same thing thought process. So everything I'm going to show you later is by the same DOP. And we have been working for 6 years. 7 years.
Wow, that's interesting.
He's big now. He's working on the BBC, and he took me over to England actually to work on a BBC series, but I had to say no. But I was there and did the prep, and he's doing stuff in America and stuff like that.
Do you do any consultancy work at all? Do people come to you and ask you your advice around that, around how to light and set up, etc.?
Yes, I do. I did on that one. It's called Creatures Small and Great, something like that.
Oh, Creatures Great and Small.
Yeah, I was supposed to do the whole series, and then
Right.
I did the prep for it. Like I was there and checked all the locations, and I did a list of which lamps to use and stuff like that. And I don't know if they used my list, but I got paid for it. I got paid handsomely for that.
Okay.
But that's I do that. Yeah, I do some prep work sometimes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, which is nice. I love that.
I suppose you've brought out something really quite interesting there, is about the relationships you have with people and the etiquette, I suppose, how to be on set as well, which is massively important, isn't it?
It is.
I
So
think so.
that's the two guys that I work with. I noticed that they felt like me, that we need to have a respectful to everybody. Well, like be respectful to even the smallest. The people that doesn't get paid much or whatever, that we always tend to be very respectful and nice, and I just like to work with nice people, so I choose my assistants has to be nice and polite people, and I try to be as well, and my DOP is very nice and a kind guy, and we hang out and eat together, and so we try. If we do that, I think we have a positive like our mentality will show itself on the screen. That's what we think.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, because we one of the things we do to say to our students as well, don't be an asshole, we say. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, because you need to work with people, and you don't know when you're going to come back and work with them again. So people have long memories around certain behaviors and certain bad behaviors. So we try and tell our students, be a good, decent human being. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Stress
great.
Stress will bring out the ugliest in people. And I have been stressed, and I have been an asshole sometimes. So I got to be honest with that. But that was stress and maybe immaturity earlier on in my career. And you will meet a lot of people that are especially newly, like DOPs that are new from schools. I try to stay away from them because they are extremely stressed, extremely wound up, and they will do, they want to do the biggest film that's ever been made or whatever, and they won't do that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a clash, so I try to stay away from that.
Cool. Excellent.
Great. I think what we could maybe do is, as a sort of instigator for further sort of chat, as Claudio hinted towards there, what we're going to do is we're going to show a few clips that he's been involved in making these lights. And in some respects, were you also involved on the camera department with young Astrid, one of these films? Is that right?
I do camera. I operate the camera sometimes, the second camera. That's what I do with the guy that I work with in these films. So we trust each other. So I know his style, and he knows my style. So that's exactly. I do the operate, but it's operating camera is easy. Yeah, it's nothing special, but he's
Easy when you know how to do it.
yeah. But you know, there are some rules, and you when you know that you stick to them, like keep the half shots and everything, and leave. You know, there's some tricks that you get taught during the way, but he's the main guy, Eric, the DOP. He's the boss. I did the lighting, and he trusts in the lighting. He's very trustful, and I can do pretty much anything if he sees that I'm on a good way, because he okays it. But in the camera work, he's the guy. Yeah, but sure, let's show something. Let's go with.
Which one did you want to show first? Did you say?
Let's go with the night scene.
Night scene, yeah. I was going to say also to all of the students here, feel free to like use your raise hand function if you do have anything you want to ask or interject as we go through this. Rather than waiting. Obviously, we'll have a way for you to ask questions at the end as well. But if you do have anything you wanted to mention as we go through this, please feel free to just either just shout out or use your sort of raise hand function there. So hold on a minute. Yep. So I'm going to show a little clip here. Now, so this is a little outdoor, outside nighttime clip, and this is from was this 2 years ago or something, young Astrid? 3 years ago that you shot this?
Time flies. I don't know, maybe 3 years.
Yeah, maybe 3 years. It's about the early life of a fairly famous Swedish children's book writer. You might have heard of a character called Pippi Longstocking, and this is the author that wrote Pippi Longstocking and the sort of story of her young life kind of thing. So I'll show you this.
Jag måste bara skrika. God morgon, sockerdricka! God morgon, sockerdricka! God morgon, sockerdricka! God morgon! God morgon! Sockerdricka! God morgon!
Great. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you, Claudio, was in terms of like the basic aesthetic sort of choices do you make for lighting for nighttime? Because obviously there's that sort of fine balance in nighttime shots for being like overly bright, whereas like is it actually nighttime, and overly dark where you're not able to see things. So like how do you make that kind of decision on how much to light for a nighttime shot?
Well, you try to do like, how did you feel about that one? Was it too bright?
I mean, you could argue, if we're talking about this is, long time ago and there's not going to be any street lights, and then it's like, okay, well, then you're arguing, is that like a very bright sort of moonlight in that case that we're getting from there? So, not that it's certainly not bright enough that if you're watching in the cinema, you'd storm out because that's not what reality is like. No. But do you know what I mean? Like there is that sort of balance, and I'm sure, any nighttime lighting for a film is always going to be brighter than what natural life is, really, because otherwise you're not watching anything, you're just watching darkness, right? So yeah.
But I think it's brave to make it dark as well, like really dark, and like you almost doesn't see anything, like the scene in Game of Thrones, the big battle in season 8 that was too dark. I kind of like that one. But this is when we did this one, we started out with it's you do it theoretically before, like I did I made a drawing I'm going to show you, but it's really ugly, the drawings. So show us like a wide picture of the shot on the rest if you can.
So this one or
no, like that one is good. So you see, if you go back a little bit, that one is good as well. Doesn't matter, like anything. So we did. Here's the simplicity of it. Like I used 2 big lamps. There are 12Ks, They are uh, there's like 12 small 1K lamps in each lamp, and I set one up. The street goes up like the road goes up, and there's a hill, and up there's a rather large hill, and on that hill I set up a crane with a big lamp in it, the 12K, and a big butterfly. It's just a sail of cloth, and so that one is the main moon, and then I have another moon on the right, like all the way up, hidden behind the trees, same kind of lamp but on a stand, and those two lamps were the moon. And what we did this, you see all the snow here, which is not real snow. It was huge amounts of paper actually. This is done in the summer, so this whiteness bounce around and makes it really, that's what we thought, like we're going to have a lot of white, so let's put up really large lamps and just let everything bounce around and see what happens. And then what you do then is you have in the I'm sure you all know this something called false color or whatever in the camera. You can really play with that and see. So we set it like in this scene, I think it was the highlights are half a stop over, I think, and the snow, I'm pointing at my screen and you can't see that, but the snow is in the like the correct stop. So that's how we did. We don't really like think about it before. We just set it like, does it look good like this? Yeah, it looks good. Let's put the snow in the right f-stop, and we work from that. And then I had I'm standing right beside the camera here with a white bounce board. So a lot of white. I think I had two guys on the sides as well with white. So we just tried to fill up everything with those two lamps. So that's how we did. And I did a drawing, and I'm Andreas has seen it, and it's the ugly one. And I think we can show it, but I feel like I explained it like how I did it, but we can do it, the drawing anyhow.
We can let's do the drawings for the other ones, because I think I feel like that shows, or that sort of explains it quite well.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask was, so does all of these shots have the same lighting setup, or did you have to change anything for the different?
No, that's what we try to do. We don't want to fiddle with it too much. So this is the same lamps. The only thing that changes is the fill, and of course there's no fill in that, the big one over there. You only see like I didn't use the whole, like the lamp on the right, which doesn't, again I'm pointing at the screen. The lamp on the right does the field on the right. So, and I took it down like for this shot here. Yeah, so I can turn down on the individual lamps on the 12K. So that's what I did. And the other one on the left, that's up on the hill, I think is full blast. So
sure.
So you tend to watch the screen and like, does this feel natural? That's what we and of course there's no, you don't get like this bright of a moon, so it's not natural, but does it feel natural? Yes, it does. That's how we talk about it. That's exactly how we talk about it. Do you like it? Does it feel natural? Yeah, I like it. It does feel natural. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
But
I think this shot in particular, obviously, again, you're using the same lighting setup, but I think it works really well with the sort of thrown snow. I'm going to watch this again with a newfound respect for paper. Is this all paper?
It's all, no, I don't think. Yeah, I think that's paper. So it's like finely grinded paper, loads of it. So the cleaning of this took 2 days, I think, and it was very expensive. Wow. And it's done like, and no, it's not summer. I think it's May.
Wow.
May.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe April, last of April, always May. So there's no, the leaves are about to.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. So yeah, it was quite an expensive scene. You see here the lighting on her face. It's when you use a bounce board, it's easy to like back it up a little bit just to get like the right natural feel. So you can see the direction of it. Like someone is standing on the left, and we maybe say go back a little bit, back up a little bit, and that's good. And so that's how we did it. I remember we had like it's quite a large one. It's on a cloth in this big frame. So there were two guys carrying it. So We are fast. So like when we're done with one shot, like the close up or the half shot, we can quickly do the next one because we don't do any fiddling about or moving lamps or stuff like that. So time is of the essence.
Great.
Yeah.
Does anyone, do Kim or anyone else, anyone from the students, do you have any questions about this shot?
I don't have questions. I just observations. What you were speaking about, Claudio, earlier about when you walk around your environment, you're very influenced by all the light that you see in your environment, and it almost feels like to me when you lit this scene, you're almost lighting the environment as well as much as the actors that are in it, and it's almost kind of painterly.
You got to do that because she's. If you see her face here, it's we call it like it's popping out of the background because she's darker and the background is lighter. So and that's intentionally, of course, because you want to play with it. It has to feel natural. Her face has to feel a bit dark because that's how you get the feeling of darkness. But she has to be popping out of something. So we always tend to do the background a bit. If we're dark in front, we do the background a bit lighter, and it's easy trick, of course. And I'm sure you all students have tried it. And also, the backlight is cutting her out of the darker parts on the right. So, and that of course is also intentional. But when you have lighted for a while, you know how to do it. You don't talk about that. You don't. It's not a discussion. It just happens, and you know what to do. And we always feel like, okay, maybe we need to add something in the background, but we try not to. We try to do it with one lamp if possible. So that's one lamp doing all of that. It's a huge lamp, of course. A lot of power. 12,000 kilowatts.
Probably a good thing you didn't shoot in the winter because it would have melted all the snow.
Yeah. Was it 12 kilowatts, not 12,000 kilowatts? That would be too much. I have used that lamp once, and it's a hassle. It's very big. Yeah. Any more questions about this?
What we could maybe do
is.
Sorry, what did you say, Aidan?
How long did that take? Like that whole shoot?
We did it in one night. The shooting, but like the snow. Yeah, the snow was made. Is I would say 24 hours because the snow was. They worked on that for quite a while. We were shooting nearby and doing some other scenes while they were doing the snow. So, and they did that for. It took a lot of time to do that because they did it manually. It was two guys walking around with a machine that shoots out the snow like that. So they were just spraying the environment. But it was we always felt like we need to have more. So they did a lot of work on that. But it took to shoot it. It was like I would say 4 hours. 4 hours after lunch, something like that. Yeah. So the lighting was done meanwhile. So we did the lighting during when we came to set and they had done the snow. I did the lighting. Lighting only takes like 2.5 hours for 2 lamps to be set up like that. The most of the time takes used to strap it on and to secure it because the butterfly is 3.6 meters, so it's kind of wind sensitive. So you need to really secure it. And also the other lamp on the right, it goes up 6 meters on the stand. So we need most of the work is securing everything actually, and this because if they fall, it's going to be costly. So that's how it is. But they do it like a second crew does it. Like when we're shooting the other stuff, the second crew does it. Like go by during lunch and just check it out and see if it looks good, and it did. There's no problem.
What we could maybe do is on a similar note, because we've got an indoor night shot as well. Do you want to look at that one and see how that sort of differs and maybe in your sort of thinking, however? So this is from the same film here. So yeah, again, I guess it's like that sort of thing of, okay, how do you light for nighttime, and when you're indoors, like what were you working with here then?
Should I show my drawing?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. So hold on, let me just check if I've enabled screen share for.
Yeah.
Try that.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the kid. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the kid lying in the bed, and here's Astrid, and here's the rest of the apartment. There was a table here, and her bed was over here. So, and the camera is, I think it was over here and over here. And so what we did was we used the same thinking, only one lamp, because there's only one moon. So we had, this was in a real apartment. So it was on, I think it was floor 6, which was quite a hassle. So we built a tower outside. So this is a scaffolding. And and this scaffolding, this was done during daylight. So we did a blackout on this. So this was built beforehand with, so when we came, it was done. And all we did was putting up like a huge grid cloth, which is a soft diffusion. And I used LEDs. I tried to use LEDs most of the time because they are easy to work with, and on batteries. Obviously, we connect them to power because we don't want the battery to die out when we're doing a scene like this. But they are easy to move as well. They're not heavy and not warm or anything like that. Because other lamps tend to raise the temperature of the room, which can be a bit sweaty after a while. Anyhow, we use this big LEDs. They are quite big sometimes, and this is a big one. And that's all that matters. And then after that, I did this white cloth on the wall, like the bed is quite close to the wall. So I put up a white cloth that acted as a bounce. You can see that clearly. And also I was standing there with a handheld bounce as well. And it's a very delicate scene. So there was only me and the DOP and script and not script. The director was in the room as well. So the rest of the crew is outside here watching on the monitors. And that's how we did it. So was nothing else to it actually.
So how many windows are there here? Is it just one window or?
That's the window.
Right.
That's the window, and it was blacked out then. So, so this is a stage almost like that. So there was this guy over here that I could talk to who moved the lamp if I wanted to move, because we move it, of course, according to the camera. So if the camera is over here, I might put the lamp over here. And if the camera's over here, we get the lamp slightly over here like that, or straight on, to get like to reach into the room a little bit more. So that's how I did that one.
Let me, if I stop your sharing, and I'll go back in and share my screen, and we can look at that again here.
Yep.
So you're saying, yeah, basically over here somewhere there's that window. And yeah,
where you are now.
And obviously for this shot you haven't got that sort of white sheet here, but for the close-ups you had some sort of white sheet along the wall.
No, the white sheet is on the window.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and you need to have the lamp a bit apart from the white sheet, so it gets spread and diffused properly. So the white sheet, it's by the window, and actually when we did if you go back a little bit, I put up the white sheet. Oh, you can almost see it. I put up the white sheet just outside the frame. Another one which is thinner. You can almost see through it, which is called it's called a quarter diffusion. And I tend to do that. I tend to have one thicker cloth near to the lamp, almost not near, but like closer to the lamp. And then I have, if I have the possibility, I use two more, like 1/4 and 1/8, really close to the face. And if you go to the close-up of her, I didn't do it on this one, but I could have done it, like have now the bounce acted as a soft. You see the softness of her skin, All the features are really mellow, and that's the work of the soft lighting. And if I had a lamp on that side instead of a bounce, I would have gone with a eighth diffusion, or even eighth and 16th of a diffusion, because we try to make it soft as possible. But the beauty of having this one lamp and bounce it around is that you will get the softness, because if as far away as you want the light to be as far away as possible, because the light is logarithmic. So it's better to have, because if you're far away from the lamp, if you move towards the lamp, the light level doesn't raise as much as it would if you're closer to the lamp. You can I'm sure you can visualize it yourself, that it will go up higher in f-stop. So you want to be as far away as possible from the lamp. So that's
and again, you're working with this sort of idea that all of your light sources are sort of coming from like a natural point. You've got this sort of idea of one moon and one light source, and then you're essentially, as you say, bounce that light around rather than putting up more lights to get these kind of the light on those kind of features, those parts of our face.
Exactly. That's exactly how we did it. It is just one lamp, and I feel like we succeeded in this one. Because sometimes you don't succeed, and that's okay. But in this one, I felt like we did it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to say this, but because sometimes we do like this, me and the DOP, that like at least 80 or 70, but 80, like say 80% of the shots has to be good looking, and if 20% is not as good, that's okay. So you don't have to aim for perfection all the time. I feel like this is perfection, and that's just what I think. Is subjective, of course, but sometimes you don't reach that level of perfection, and you need to be okay with that, because time is flying, and you need to go ahead with the day. Yeah. But in this case, we nailed it, I think.
Great. Anyone got any questions on this one, or general questions at this point? So what we could do is look at another one. So should we look at, which one do you want to look at now? So we've got the corridor.
Let's do the corridor then, because it's the same movie, and then we do the last the other movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
Svenska bokhandelscentralen i radioavdelningen Astrid Eriksson, goddag. Jag kopplar vidare. Herr Nilsson till herr Karlsson. Svenska bokhandelscentralen radioavdelningen Astrid Eriksson, goddag.
Det är jag.
Hur kan jag stå till tjänst?
Let's have a look. You've got another drawing, don't you?
I do.
Let's see some drawings.
Yeah. I gotta find it first. Let's see here. Was it that one? No, that's the. Look at that one. That's the nice exterior. Look at that.
That was a beautiful. Yeah, good. Yeah. Good. We got that in. That's trees there, right?
Yeah, that is some trees. This is trees. Oh, that's the other one. Yeah, and you get a preview. Here it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the corridor. She's walking down here, and the thing is, it's quite a big. It doesn't look like that, but it's a rather big corridor, and it's white. So we knew that's going to be a problem, because it might be boring to do that, and she's also dressed in white. So what we did was, I have outside here this is a castle of some sort, and this is on a rather high ledge above. So we're shooting down here with the lamps. So we put M90s, and these are HMI lamps, which are daylight, and they are 9,000 watts. So they are quite powerful. So I knew that's going to be. I wanted to make it powerful as well because we have to, because we have the daylight shining in, and I wanted these lamps to be the sun, so to speak. So they have to win the sun and the daylight, and they are quite far away, even though it doesn't look like it here. So we took these rather big lamps, shooting it right here, and then on these windows here, which are quite large, we took down the, what's it called, the winds, Andreas, like Persian. Do you know what?
Yeah,
We blocked the lights. We blocked the lights with halfway down. So if when you see the scene, there's a hard sun-like feel on the right wall. So we took down the lights, and then I put some diffusion on all these windows. So no, I didn't put the diffusion. I put the diffusion only on this window. Sorry. When she walks up here, there's a diffusion over here, like 1/8, to make because she's not directly hit by the sun over here, but it bounces off the white sources on white painting on the wall of the window here. So I put on the diffusion 1/8 that she walks into. And another thing, we're going to see the scene again, but another thing, if you remember in the scene, I don't think you remember it, but you're going to see it the next one time. There's like double shadows, which is hideous. So that's why we put up like large flags like that to block every lamp. So the light from this one doesn't go over here. Only this lamp is doing the light here, and this lamp is doing the light here, and so forth. But I actually had some double lighting over here, and we're gonna see the scene again, and you can see my mistake.
So these flags are essentially making the lights more directional. Is that where you're saying that it's basically stopping any spill?
Imagine a football field, like when you see the double shadow, the 3 or 4 shadows of the players. You don't want that because it doesn't look natural, of course. So this is actually something that you really have to do in lighting, is take away light that you don't want. Like so if you put up 4 sources, like I did here, 4 large sources, you need to minimize them so they only do what they are supposed to do. So this one is only supposed to do everything through this window and nothing in this window. So this flag is quite large, and it's a bit of a hassle because the wind, of course, try to bend them, and so you need to secure them. So that's a big part of the job. These goes up quite fast, and the power is a bit of a hassle as well, of course, because it's a lot of power. So you need to get the power from somewhere, and that's usually far away. But like this is time consuming, like putting the flags and securing everything and doing stuff like that. But
can I ask what was maybe a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. What would happen? What would be the result, and why would you not go with a single large? If we're talking about this idea of, again, one light source, the sun, would you be able to have one large light source instead of 4 separate ones, or what would the difference be if you did?
That's an excellent question, Andreas, because this here is a castle-like building. I don't remember if it's an actual castle, but this is shot in Germany. So you can imagine like a small castle yard here, and here's a wall, like a ledge where people were walking, and here's another wall. So it's quite tight, even though it's big-ish, but one lamp could never do the whole corridor. So that's why I chose to do the 4 lamps, and I didn't want to do that, but I wanted the hard lighting here on the wall to bounce around and make the natural feel. So that is why. And if I had a choice, I would have chosen. Well, I don't think we could do it with 1 lamp. Maybe a 100K, which is a huge lamp, and maybe too expensive for this production. Could have done it, but then we have to go quite far away to really reach all the window.
Sure. So distance was the main obstacle there. Like if you had more distance and more budget, maybe you could have gone with a single light.
Exactly. So this, even though this is quite far away, this is a large corridor. Maybe let's say it's 20 meters or something like that, even though it doesn't show in the shot correctly, because we are standing here with the camera at first, and then we maybe cut in here and goes up here. It's, you know, we did a lot of lighting that wasn't shown in this one. We also did something here in the corridor. It's another corridor here, but I don't feel like you're seeing that. But that's how you do. Sometimes you light stuff it doesn't really show. So this lamp is not. We could have scrapped that one. So these three were the only ones that really did the work. But let's have a look again and see.
Yeah, let's have a look again.
Svenska bokhandelscentralen radioavdelningen Astrid Eriksson Grad. Jag kopplar vidare. Herr Nilsson till herr Karlsson. Svenska bokhandelscentralen radioavdelningen Astrid Eriksson Grad.
So tell us where the mistake is. It somewhere here? Are the shadows on the wall here, or?
Yeah, yeah. You see that? Look at his hand by her arm. You see two hands like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my mistake.
So how could you have fixed that? Is there a way that you could have fixed it and sort of in hindsight?
The flag.
With hindsight.
The flags. There's one flag that's maybe the wind took it a little bit. Open it up a little bit, or I didn't do that. I'm sure that when we said, okay, let's shoot this looked okay. I'm sure, but you know, it takes a while, and before you start, and you know, there's makeup, and someone lost a shoe or whatever, you know, stuff happens, and let's go, and they all of a sudden shouts, let's shoot this, and I'm like, yeah, let's go ahead, I'm okay. And then we see this, and they say, oh, I love this shot, it was excellent, says the director, and I'm like, I wasn't so sure, but I can't really say like, let's not go with it. But I lifted up to the DOP, of course, and I said like, we had this problem over there, and he probably would say like, yeah, doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter because no one sees this, of course.
No.
We see it now, but like in the movie, you don't see it.
Yeah.
But I saw it on the day. I think I saw it.
Yeah, now everyone sees it. Now this has spoiled your reputation for. I promise we won't tell anyone now, but you know, your reputation is ruined.
Yeah.
Kim, have you got anything to say here?
Yeah, I know, Claudio, you already said that you brought down the blinds to give this hard edge, like basically the top of the window. But did you also add in the framing, the kind of cross framing? Was that on the original windows, or did you put this in? Because it's beautiful to see the kind of shadows of the what would you call that, within the window pane, this grid system.
Yeah, that is on the original window, and that's a testament of the hardness of the lamp as well. Because if you have a hard lamp, you get the shadows, and also if you have the lamp far away from the thing that makes the shadows, the harder the shadows will be. So this is a testament of that. We don't have a diffusion on anything on these lamps, but this is original. It was a beautiful set.
Yeah.
So
is that something you could recreate, or you've ever recreated? Is that you create shadows to make something look more authentic, or within like windows and stuff like that?
Yes, it's quite common actually. We use we use twigs. Twigs sounds small, but I mean like big branches really, and sometimes to make like to break up the light, not to make it look like it's leaves and twigs or branches, more like to make the light a bit more broken up and interesting. So if you move the branch further closer to the lamp, you get like a diffused pattern of some sort. Sometimes we use camouflage mats in front of the lamps as well, just to make it a bit more interesting. If you have a hard lamp, and you can do that, like so that's we do work with that a lot.
That's a brilliant tip, because all of our students can afford to pick some twigs and branches and do some interesting breaking up of light. It's within the budget.
Within the budget, yeah.
I've got a whole list. I don't know if you can see the chat window here. Can you see that?
Not right now.
So Kieran is asking a whole bunch of questions, all of which I'm sure are really good here. First of all, he's talking about the lighting on smaller versus bigger productions, and do you light stand-ins? Is that how it usually works?
No, we don't use stand-ins like, I'm going to read. We don't use stand-ins like employed people that's employed to do that, but I work as a stand. Like I can stand. I usually go, when I light, I usually go to the spot where the actor is supposed to be. And when I stand there, I kind of feel which lights are hitting me, and I can instantly feel like if I like it. And then I always lift up my hand, and I look at my hand to see the knuckles or whatever, to see how the shadows looks and everything. And I trust, and if that looks good, I trust that it looks good. And afterwards we do a rehearsal, and I see it live. We don't do a bigger fuss with that, like the lighting, because we are quite secure with that it looks going to look good.
Yeah. The second question he asks is, this is an interesting one. With technology and shooting with RAW and more possibilities in post, have you found any differences in directors maybe being less fussy about it so they can sort of fix it later? I think that's what the question is asking.
Yeah, that is true. We do that. Like people always say, like if it's over before, like if something was overexposed, that would be a huge problem, and we need to tend to that. But nowadays, you don't have to do it. I mean, if you shoot in 8K or whatever, you don't have to do that. So we have a big range to pick from. So yeah, that's true. The DOP are the one that makes that decision. And usually, if there is an imperfection, we try to aim for perfect. But if there is one smaller in the background, not like the face is overexposed, but like if something else is, then we go ahead. And also, like if there is a car in the background that shouldn't be there, they usually say like, yeah, I'm going to take that one out, and that is an expensive process. I don't know why they do that. Let's do it again. It's my position, but there's a lot of times that let's fuck it, let's do it. So yeah.
Okay. What about day for night? Have you ever done that? Where you shoot night scenes in the day, and what's your process?
Yes, we have done that. I have done that a lot of times. Not a lot of times, but some productions like that kind of feel, and I don't like it, because if you do day for night outside, you need to make a highlight. It's called highlight, so you have really huge lamps to do that. So you need an 18K HMI or something like that or the sun. Of course, if you have the sun, then you put in a lot of filters. There's a filter called day for night, and you press it down a lot on the f-stop. But you need a highlight. So if there's a cloudy day, you need a huge lamp to create that. It's a lot of work for us in the lighting department, and I don't care for it, to be honest.
Less of that, please.
Yeah, less of that.
Do you use a lot of light meter to sort of judge, or?
No, I used, when I was starting out, we only did film. So I'm taught to shoot film. So I have a couple of light meters, and I love to use them because I look cool when I do that. But there's no point to it, so I can't really do that anymore. But before, there was like a mystique about it. Me and the DOP walked up, and we walked around with our little light meters and looked awesome. But it's ridiculous to do it now because we have all these technical possibilities in the camera. So no.
Yeah.
There's a question about tech scouts. Let's see here. What are the main things you look for out during tech scouts on location? Everything. I usually look for, if we're shooting up like high up in like a couple of floors up, I tend to nag about that, because we need to carry a lot of equipment up, or there needs to be a crane that's really big, and but I don't really have any sway. Like, we're gonna do what we're gonna do, but I lift it up. Like, I lift up all the problems that I see, but they usually don't care about that. And then I look for where's the sun's going to be. I have this app on my phone that's called Sunseeker. So I use Sunseeker to see. I can actually see on the day if you're going to shoot like 4th of April, 2 o'clock. I can actually use my Sunseeker app to see 4th of April where's the sun's going to be. If we're going to have a problem, perhaps with sun coming into the living room window or whatever, I can see that, because I usually tend to, if I do an interior scene, I tend to block out the sun, because the sun is not reliable. It might go away during the scene, and then the light sinks really quick. So we block the sun and we use the atmospheric light, and then we push in our own source usually. So that's something I look for. And also the power, I usually don't look for it, but I tell the people on what's it called, the people that are were responsible of the place. I call them, tell them that we need this kind of power or whatever. Is it possible to get that from the house, because that's cheaper? And I lift that discussion. If they usually come back to me a couple of days later and tell me if we can or cannot do that. That's what I look for in the location. And we talk about, like me and the DOP talk about what we're going to do in the scene, and the director talks about the scene, and this is what's going to happen and whatever. So we have a general idea of what we're going to do over there. And usually that we don't talk about it much afterwards, me and DOP, but we have usually made up our lighting beforehand pretty much, and we only confirm it with each other, and then we do it. So we don't do like this beautiful paintings that I did. We don't do that for the lighting, which maybe we should, because that would look very professional and cool, but we don't do that. We only like talk about it and get the general feel about it, and then we like to be open to do changes. We don't want to be too locked into, because the sun might be up and we need to block it, and that would create something else, and maybe we want to work with that. Maybe we also want to do something hard instead, because that looks very nice. So we don't do like a locked plan, but a general plan.
Yeah, some great questions there. Sean, I'm not sure if that last answer kind of answers your question about making sure that it's just right. And I guess the idea what you were talking about, blocking out the sun and then using your own lighting to control the shoot does mean that you're getting the right look for the shot when you need it to be there, I guess. So
we need to be consistent, because if it falls, we can't really, we can go with it, but it's going to be a problem in the editing, of course. If it falls, all of a sudden it's going to be high in the close-up, but not in the big one. So we need to be able to have a consistent look. There's another question from Sean. Making sure the lighting is the right place at the right time and it looks the same as shot. Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you were talking about.
Yeah,
I think. We could maybe do one last shot here. Which one would you like to do? You were saying the other film, the indoor eating cake clip.
Yep, let's do that.
Yep.
Men vi måste det på något sätt förbjuda. Måste vi inte, Thomas Lippchen?
Hold on, let me just get this full screen.
Ja, de har skickat kakan ända från Tyskland. Den är full med russin och frukt. Så där. Så. Du är alltså Joha. Är det ett svenskt namn?
Finskt.
Finland som är var så skön. Och Sibelius. Mm. De flesta tonsätterna är ju annars tyska. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Den känner du till, ja? Ba-ba-ba-ba. Om jag kunde förstå varför de ska vara så stygga mot Thomas.
We could maybe stop there, and so we've got these 3 shots that I can see, right? We've got essentially close-ups on all of them, and the wide shot. So yeah, I mean, again, so we're talking about, you know, a period film, you know, something that is meant to look old to some extent. Let me start by that. Do you think a lot about that when it's like, you know, this is obviously meant to be set in the 70s, so is there a 70s mentality for lighting, or is it just the same no matter what kind of era you're lighting for?
No, we don't think about that much. I usually do my kind of lighting in every movie, but like if we're doing something in a discotheque, we of course would do, or something that would be cyberpunk or whatever. I would use different kind of colors and stuff like that. But like in this one, it looks, if it was set in the 90s, it would look the same. But the thing that we did this one, I remember, because we talked to makeup a little bit. That's a good idea for a DOP or a gaffer or both of us to talk about talk with the makeup to how the skin is gonna look. I find that very interesting. Sometimes we tend to like, can you make it a bit shiny like over here? There's something that we lift up, and they are of course the bosses of the makeup, but the makeup does a lot. So in this one, the guy on the right, I think he has a bit of a shine to him, and she as well. And I remember they had a spray to do that, and I really liked that look. So I can't say it's the 70s, but that's part of the look actually to do that. And you can see both of them have a bit of a shine to them. Yeah. And I remember we talking about it, and I didn't do anything special with the lighting, but they did that. So, and I really fancied that one. And I think we did that in another movie. It's the same makeup artist that did that. So I tend to talk to them a little bit.
And where were the lights placed in this scene then?
We have a drawing.
We have a drawing.
Yes.
You're spoiling us.
Yeah. Just a drawing. So I'm going to do that. There you go. And this is the table. I'm not sure if it was round, but it doesn't matter. And I actually did the camera positions as well. We did a LED lamp here. That day was quite windy, and if you can actually see that on the outside, the trees are doing their thing. So we built up a scaffolding type of thing over here. So we had two stands like here, and called some tubes. We did a scaffolding building, and we put this rather large LED lamp that's quite slightly tilted, and that one is doing all the lighting for that one. And we actually had, I didn't draw it here, but I had two more on the sides here to fill a little bit extra if I wanted to. So they are not in work like in the big shot. It's only this one, I think. And when we did close up, it's that one and another LED lamp, and they are quite powerful. So then I had another LED in the kitchen to do like because I don't want to work with too much of in this scene. Keep it low and keep it like really like it's a depressing scene actually, and everything is depressing. So I wanted to keep it low but like beautiful. So this lamp is really just making a slight cutting her out, I think, a little bit, and this lamp is, you know, is acting as a sun, then of course. And here are windows, like large windows. So I put up a large grid cloth, like really large. So it's just a lot of white cloth around the scene to use the natural flowing light. So you can see that in the kid on the right, his face is it's the fill is the natural light through this grid cloth. So there's no extra lamps over here, and for all of them actually. So there's only one camera. It's not three cameras. It's one camera over here. So and we moved over here. So that's how we did this scene. Yeah.
So you know, again, your lighting is consistent with all of these camera shots then, so you haven't changed anything with your lighting with the different positions?
Yeah, the extra lamps over here I actually, like when we're doing this shot over here, I think I used, because I wanted more of a direction.
Yeah.
So this one is still flowing in, and I accentuated that with an extra lamp, as I remember it, and the same over here. And I think I used 2, so it was just to shut this one out and turn this one on for that shot for her.
Okay.
And this guy over here, which is the main character, we're only used this one for him, and the fill, the natural fill that came from over there. But
let's have a look at it again.
Yeah.
Ja, de har skickat kakan ända från Tyskland. Den är full med russin och frukt. Så där. Så. Du är alltså Joha. Är det ett svenskt namn?
Finskt.
Finland som är så skön. Och Sibelius. De flesta tonsätterna är ju annars tyska. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Den känner du till, ja? Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Right.
Yeah.
So roughly where are the lights? If we're seeing obviously the window here. So are the lights, how far away from the window and how far up are they?
It's quite close to the window, actually. And that lamp is, I think it's 1 meter times 2 or something like that, or 2.5 meters. So it's a rectangle, which is tilted slightly and as close as possible to the window, so just outside of frame. So we go down with it till we see it in the frame, and then we go up slightly just to hide it. And we didn't go full blast on it. We just kept it to get a more of a direction on the light, because we have a lot of flowing natural light, and we wanted to make it natural as possible. We don't want to make it look lit, if you know what I mean. So that was what we think. And we also had the one in the kitchen, and I can tell now we don't see it. It doesn't do much, but we have one over there anyhow. And but I really like the close-ups on the kid on the right. I feel like that one was tasty. So, yeah. It's harder to make the big shots. It's quite hard to do them. I feel, and you can see that he has a rather potent highlight, which is the extra lamp that I think we used, and the fill, it looks I think it looks natural and highlighted natural, like slightly above what would be a natural light, and the makeup looks good as well, I think, with a bit of a shine on him.
So let me ask you this, as an overview question to everything that you've sort of shown us so far. Obviously, again, you've got this kind of mentality of lighting where you're trying to sort of work with a natural looking scene, and you're trying to almost replicate the natural light sources, so the moon and the sun, right? And you're doing that by fairly strong, large lights placed quite often far away, maybe, to sort of get that result. And obviously, I guess the question might be for those that haven't got these sort of powerful lights and haven't got the facility to be able to place them in that kind of way. Is there anything that the students could do in trying to replicate that type of that type of feel to a scene without having this sort of budget, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, you should, and I do this as well sometimes. I use the natural light. So if in this scene you don't have to have a LED outside of the window, you can go with the natural light and try to use the fill. Like if you don't have a big cloth that I have, this special cloth or whatever, use blinds or whatever to take it down to a level that you find appropriate. And you can, these new cameras, the Red and the Arri Alexa, they are so light sensitive. So if you take out the window, if you don't shoot towards the window, you can do almost anything. Because if you see the window and the character in the same shot, then you have a problem, because then you have to match that light that's outside. Otherwise, it will get overexposed. So if you can avoid the window or use the window, if you don't have any lights like we do, you can actually make them silhouetted, and if you don't have the ability to make the outside and the inside look perfect, so to speak. And then when you go to the close-ups, you can work with the natural light and the extremely wide range that the new cameras provide, and you can almost replicate the same look. We do that sometimes if we are in a stressed position, but not often, but we can do that. So we usually avoid the windows just so we don't have to fill up as much, because you don't want a white window. It looks hideous, in my opinion. But you know, art is subjective. You can do what you want, but that's what I would do: avoid the windows and work with f-stop. That was my answer.
That was your answer. Thank you. Kim, were you going to say something, or I wasn't sure?
No, I was actually, one of the things that interested me was reflection. Do you ever get unwanted reflection? I noticed there was a slight reflection in the mum's glasses, and I wondered if that's something you come up against, whether there's props within the scene that maybe bounce when you don't want them to, or reflect back your light, but maybe you would just change it slightly for the mother's close-up, for example, with that window reflecting into her massive 90s glasses.
Glasses are a problem, Kim. It's exactly right. We see lights a lot in the glasses, and we have to bend ourselves to avoid that. So, and sometimes you try to, can you look at that way, like slightly tilt your head a little bit more that way, but you don't want to impose on the actor to do stuff for you. That's, no, I don't want to do that, but glasses are a problem, and sometimes we can't really work around it, and you're gonna see a lamp, and that's it.
And what do you do about bounce, unwanted bounce? I suppose is that within the set design? Sometimes light will be bouncing off things that you don't want it to. How do you paint it black?
Yeah, we have two options actually, and we can paint it black. This is actually this color that you can, or spray that's black, or what's it, dulling spray. So you can use the black dulling, which is completely black, and you can wipe it off afterwards. It's easy like that. Otherwise, I tend to, and this can all the students do as well, I put up a lot of black around the scene to create more of a contrast. So I use white and black. That's the thing that we use a lot. And sometimes if there's this big bookcase with a lot of frames on it or whatever, I put up a black T-bar, is called. I have black cloth on a big wooden stick, like a plank, that I put on a stand, and I can just pop it in quickly and knock out the unwanted reflections and stuff like that. So that's a common problem actually.
I noticed, just going back to the clip with the little boy that was coughing loads, which was nearly making me cry, so I'm glad we didn't watch it all again. Yeah. But I noticed that when in the clip, the highlight of bed sheet in the distance, like looked like the other bed in the room. You could have quite easily chose to have beds covering that was black, but it was almost it created depth within the scene just to see that the mother's bed in the distance. I thought that was really beautiful.
Yeah. There was, yeah. But what was the question about that?
No, it was just an observation.
It was beautiful. I agree, it was beautiful. But that's almost chance actually. but like, not the light on it. It was of course a bit of it, but it's kind of chance, because you do stuff and you feel like this looks good. You don't have, like, when you're lighting, you don't have like a plan. This is the plan. You don't have that. You have like, this is what we're gonna do, and let's see what happens. And let's move the lamp slightly to the right, and you might spill on the bed a little bit. Why not do that? Yeah, go ahead. It's like that. And then you look at the picture, and it looks really good. Let's go with that. That's how you go about it. And sometimes you strike gold.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions from the students, or Michael or Alan?
Kieran, have you got a question or two?
We covered them earlier. We went through them all.
Every single one of them.
he put 4 or 5 in, and they were very good questions, and we've covered them all. So
Yeah, oh, people are going. Oh. Well,
Anybody else got any questions for Claudio?
I just want to know what you're working on next. What's in the pipeline for you? What you planning just now?
I'm gonna do a. Hold on, I've lost you all. I'm gonna do a comedy later on in the summer, I suppose. What we're talking about it right now.
Mhm.
So that's a big thing, and I turned down a lot of projects now this spring because I wanted to do something else. But like in the summer, I'm gonna do this big comedy, and it's a new DOP actually for me. So well, I'm a bit nervous about that, and so me and him are talking a little bit, and yeah, it's a big project. So we talked about it since December. So I like it when they are planned ahead properly. So that's
what's the film industry rate at in Sweden at the moment? Are they working? Is there less work, obviously, maybe at the moment, or how has COVID sort of affected the film industry? Do you know?
Actually, I feel like this. I get a lot of people calling me all the time. I feel like so it's a lot of productions going on, and Sweden is. You all know Sweden should be special about the COVID response. We haven't really. I feel like we don't do anything. So the thing that happens on set is like they have this person that's COVID responsible, and everybody's wearing proper masks and alcohol gel, but the productions are maintaining. They are going ahead like there's no tomorrow, which is weird, but it is what it is. So there is work.
Yeah.
In Sweden.
Excellent.
Great.
Well, listen, Claudio, thank you for coming on and giving up your time for the students.
Well, thank you guys. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff. Very much less is more, isn't it? That's what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, less is more.
Yeah.
You all can do beautiful stuff if you just work economically and efficient.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Right. Thank you. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thank you, Andreas, for setting this up.
Thanks.
Enjoy your rest of your day, and good luck, Claudio.
Same. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.